ironically, GTA 6 announced their cover that same day, and all they did was like a 4-second video, and we're doing burnouts on the deck of the air.
Not bad.
Right?
Not bad. Not bad.
That was awesome.
So, Mike,
Shots fired
you
at
guys
GTA.
have been working together on games for a long time. Tell us about the history.
A very long time. Actually, this year, 2026, is our
iRacing said Rockstar Games ain't got shit on us.
So, Mike, you guys have been working together on games for a long time.
I did want to hop on here real quick, and well, I might play some NASCAR 25 once I'm done with this video. But as you can see, 4 hours ago, NASCAR 26, the game, dropped a dev diary, episode 1. So we have some actual details, including, I believe, an official release date for NASCAR 26. So let's take a look at this dev diary and see what new things are going to come to the game. I saw a couple clips that made me pretty excited, so see what they have to say.
Welcome to iRacing Studios development blog. I'm here with Matt Lewis and Mike DeVault, and we're going to talk about NASCAR 26 this time. Really excited to share some news about it, and we recently had some big announcements in San Diego, right, Matt?
We did. I can't think of anything more American than bringing a NASCAR race car to the deck of an aircraft carrier and doing a big burnout. As you know, burnouts was like the top feature for NASCAR 25 and something that we just couldn't get to. And so to tie sort of the nod to that new feature coming to 26 with Kyle Larson being the cover guy. And
so two things that we knew about kind of already right off the rip. Burnouts after winning a race are back in NASCAR 26, as well as the San Diego street course, Coronado
awesome
street
weekend.
course.
We also got to announce a couple of new things for the
These
game.
are things we knew already.
Cross-platform multiplayer, we've already announced.
Cross-platform.
Another huge ask from the community, as you know. But also just confirming that Naval Base Coronado and the San Diego track would be in NASCAR 26 as well. It was crazy. Leading into San Diego, I think, it was about a week it had been out?
About a week. We released it in iRacing right before that. Yep.
Yeah, and even just by the time we did that burnout, there was over 500,000 miles run on that track just in the sim in that 1 week. So people are excited about it, and we kind of built on that crescendo into the whole weekend to drum up the excitement. It was pretty awesome.
So you've been making NASCAR games in particular for a long time. In terms of a sort of a marketing beat or hit, how did that rank? Burnout on an aircraft carrier?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we killed it. So ironically, GTA 6 announced their cover that same day, and all they did was like a 4-second video, and we're doing burnouts on the deck of the air.
Not bad.
Right?
Not bad. Not bad.
That was awesome.
So, Mike,
Shots fired
you
at
guys have been
GTA.
working together on games for a long time. Tell us about the
a
history.
very long time. Actually, this year, 2026, is our
iRacing said Rockstar Games ain't got shit on us.
So, Mike, you guys have been working together on games for a long time. Tell us about the
a
history.
very long time. Actually, this year, 2026, is our 25th year
Yeah.
in the games industry. Most of that working on NASCAR games.
It's amazing because we're only 30-something years old.
That's
I
true,
mean,
yeah. I mean, it's the lighting that makes us look a little
is.
older. But yeah, all the way going back to our first NASCAR game was NASCAR Thunder 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Great game.
Yeah.
Who
Matt-
was on the cover for that one? Was that Tony Stewart?
Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon.
Yeah,
Oh.
which was kind of a bit of
Don't
tension.
remind me.
Yeah,
Don't
so
remind me.
Matt and I started off
Oh,
a little
boy.
bit with like a rocky relationship. We were in the same department, and I was a Gordon fan, and he was a Dale Senior fan. So we didn't hit it off on the right foot always. It was kind of a weekly struggle there for a while. But what made that such a passionate team, and what makes this such a passionate team, is that we're fans first. And it's super exciting to be now under the iRacing umbrella, because if anybody brings authenticity to racing and to NASCAR gaming, it's iRacing. So to be able to have iRacing backing, and to be able to use their track assets, and to be able to use their car assets, and to have a long-reaching 4, 5, 6 year plan of games. Like, we're not here to make one game and to be done. We're here to finish what we started.
That jump
all those
on
years
Naval Base
ago
Coronado is going to
and
be
really
crazy.
deliver something incredible for the fans.
So iRacing Studios has had a long relationship with NASCAR through iRacing product, through previous products, through products you guys have worked on. Things have changed a lot over the years. Talk a little bit about how the relationship with NASCAR has changed and I would say kind of improved and become more involved, I guess.
Yeah, I think what's unique about NASCAR as a sport, even outside of video games, is just the access, right? Like he's worked on PGA stuff, I worked on a lot of the football stuff, but you go to a race and the access is unprecedented, right? Like you can literally stand this close to your favorite driver in the world, and that just doesn't exist. I can't go stand on the field next to Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
And I think that mentality translates across the entire industry. We get unbelievable support from the drivers, from the race teams, from the partners, and that's the other thing unique about NASCAR is there's so many sort of entities that make the world go round, right? And that's why that they have this open access and a lot of sort of support from all these different avenues. And so for us, as the sport has evolved over time and been more open to these kinds of things, it's done nothing but help us. And they help with production assets inside the game. They help us with their look and feel. Like we've literally taken a lot of what they do on the websites and in TV broadcasts and all those things and brought it into the game, which is something that Mike's working a lot on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to have the access to all that really is a benefit for us because our goal is to not just make the racing experience within the game feel as authentic as possible, but everything you do from when you boot up the game. So when you're going through the screens, you're watching the Dale Jr. Download podcast. This year we're going to have Door Bumper Clear in there as well. So a lot of the things, the touch points that NASCAR fans would have, outside of the race itself, that we're able to bring into the game. And then like Matt said, the collaboration with NASCAR and their creative team has been awesome so that when you fire the game up and you're navigating the UI, it's not like you're in a game silo and then there's the rest of the NASCAR branding that looks different than the game. No, this year everything is going to look like it looks in NASCAR branding, and yeah, they've just been great to work with. But again, it speaks to the collaboration that we have with the teams, with NASCAR itself, and we really wouldn't be able to do any of this without them.
It seems like it's super important for NASCAR as well, right? This is an extension of what they do, right? There's a race weekend for the fans that go to tracks like we're here at Charlotte, which is really cool to be shooting this here, by the way. Thank you to the track for the access.
100%.
But we build that into the game, right? You want to feel like it's a true race weekend, and I don't know that you get that in other sorts of sports franchises.
I think last year we did things like the cutscenes before the race weekends and like during the race weekends. So, and those were all built out of us for years having gone to the track and saying we need to put this in the game. We need like the sights and the sounds. We can't bring the smells, obviously, but if we could
maybe
bring
in a couple of years we'll have some sort of thing. The next generation consoles maybe have some
absolutely smell? Maybe who knows, but to be able to deliver that as much as possible and to make it so that when you play the game you're getting those emotions and those feelings that you get when you're at the track was super important for us.
So Matt, a couple of weeks ago we made some announcements in San Diego, which everybody's excited about. The game's coming in September. What else can people expect in the coming months?
Yeah, we know all the comments on this video are going to be what? Where's the gameplay trailer?
Footage.
Yeah. So we have an answer next week. That's the plan. We're going to get the gameplay trailer out.
Nice. Next
then,
week.
Beyond
official
that,
gameplay trailer.
We're going to launch on September 18th. That's the standard edition. Gold edition will be September 15th. So we're excited about that. And we're going to have a ton of extra content all throughout.
September
as we
15th
lead
for
in.
the
We're gonna
gold
do some
edition.
deep dives on some gameplay features and things like that. But also that ship date lines up with sort of the start of the chase, which is another thing we've got in the game this year. A completely standalone mode centered around the chase. You go in, you set up.
Let me go back a little bit so I can write some of this.
He was super important for us.
So Matt, a couple of weeks ago we made some announcements in San Diego, which everybody's excited about. The game's coming in September. What else can people expect in the coming months?
Yeah, we know all the comments on this video are going to be what? Where's the gameplay trailer?
Gameplay footage.
Yeah. So we have an answer next week. That's the plan. We're going to get the gameplay trailer out. And then, beyond that, we're going to launch on September 18th. That's the standard edition. Gold edition will be September 15th. So we're excited about that, and we're going to have a ton of extra content all throughout as we lead in. We're going to do some deep dives on some gameplay features and things like that. But also that ship date lines up with sort of the start of the chase, which is another thing we've got in the game this year. A completely standalone mode centered around the chase. You go in, you set up the field that you want to compete against, and then you just run those last 10 races. So that's going to be an awesome feature as well.
And you'll be able to talk a little bit more about the difference between standard.
Sorry, I got to go back one more time so that I can pause this. Just writing everything down so that we can do a recap once we get to the end of this.
Gold edition.
Burnouts, Coronado, crossplay.
Will be September 15th. So we're excited about that, and we're going to have a ton of extra content all throughout as we lead in. We're going to do some deep dives on some gameplay features and things like that. But also that ship date lines up with sort of the start of the chase, which is another thing we've got in the game this year. A completely standalone mode centered around the chase. You go in, you set up the field that you want to compete against, and then you just run those last 10 races. So that's going to be an awesome feature as well.
And you'll be able to talk a little bit more about the difference between standard and gold as we get a little closer.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, 100%.
All right, so guys, we just talked about what people can expect to see in the coming months before release, but you're deep into development. So what are you most excited about that's coming in the game in September?
Yeah, so in NASCAR 25, everything was about building a solid foundation that we could continue to develop, subsequent games on. So this year, again, is building those elements of authenticity that we were talking about before. And one of those things that you're going to see in NASCAR 26 that we're super excited about is the dynamic track feature. So right now, when you go into a race weekend, for races that are medium length to longer length races, when you first get to the track, it's going to be in a green state, so it won't be rubbered in, and you'll be pretty much racing the fast line to find the optimal speed around the track. But as the weekend progresses and rubber gets laid down on the racetrack through the practice session that you run, and then through qualifying and obviously the race itself, it'll start to open up more lines.
So it's way more than just a visual thing. It actually impacts how you drive and
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, much more than just a visual thing, and it'll open up new strategies for players in the game, and you'll have to mess around with some car setups to see, like, okay, am I playing it for a longer run and waiting for the track to change a little bit. So again, these are the sorts of features that we can continue to create new games on this platform.
Matt, what are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo a lot of the things Mike said about authenticity. We talked about burnouts being the #1 ask. We talked about cross-platform. I think both of those things are going to be a huge relief to gamers to just know that, like, we're listening and we're getting their asks in the game. We've got AI DNFs, these quality of life improvements, right, which are minor asks in the grand scheme of things, but just, again, showing that we're listening to the community. So the AI will have DNFs. We heard a lot about road course penalties and issues with track extents. We've loosened some of those restrictions, but just generally this notion that, like, we are constantly improving. To what Mike said earlier, we're building a franchise here, right? We're not building a one-off product. We're building a long-term franchise, and part of that is listening to fans, engaging with them, and making sure that we're all pushing ourselves to be better.
Yeah, well, quality of life improvements are huge. They, like you said, they might sound like a small thing, but it really changes the way the game plays and the experience for the fans. So well worth the time and effort to put those in.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us on the first Dev Diary for NASCAR 26. It's great to actually be able to talk about the product now. Obviously, it's been in development for a long time, and we had to wait a little bit till we got far enough along to talk about it and start promoting it, but we're here, so really appreciate that. And to everybody watching, thanks for watching, and be sure to visit our website, NASCAR.
Okay, well, so there you have it. Dev Diary Episode 1 is complete. Obviously, with it being titled Episode 1, there will be more Dev Diary episodes on the horizon before the official launch. That being said, I want to run through the... just give a quick little recap about what we just saw. So September 18th is when the standard edition of NASCAR 26 is going to be launching. For those that get the gold edition, you'll be able to play on September 15th. Next week, today is July 22nd. So, next week from July 22nd, we will have an official gameplay trailer for NASCAR 26. New additions to the game. Before I get into this, I just want to mention the big theme with what was discussed here was that, you know, these guys are laying foundations. That's all NASCAR 25 was a foundation that they could build upon, and they're going to continue to build upon each year. Because, like they said, they want this to be a dynasty. They want this to be something that they stick with for year upon year upon year. And so they have time, more or less, to make these subtle adjustments in between games. That being said, new additions. Burnouts are going to be back in NASCAR 26. The ability to burn it down after you win a race. Coronado Street Course is going to be added to the game. You'll be able to do burnouts on the aircraft carrier there. Crossplay. We finally are going to be able to hit up PlayStation, Xbox, PC. Everybody's going to be able to play together. The chase, as we know in real life, they switched from the playoff format to the chase format. That will also be something that is seen in NASCAR 26. On top of that, they've made a standalone mode for the chase where you can just load up to the game and race those last 10 races for a championship without having to go through an entire season. Dynamic track features. This is a really cool one because, like they said, the track's going to start out green, and for those who don't know what green means, that just means there's no rubber on the track. You're kind of forced to run a very specific line, usually the low line around the track, and then as the weekend progresses, as you hit up practice, as you hit up qualifying, and as you go throughout the course of a race, there will be more rubber from the tires that gets laid down on the track. Therefore, you'll be able to move up the racetrack and find more grip as you go around the high side, as you go around the middle lane. And so this is going to open up the ability for a lot more strategy during a race, especially during longer races. If you want to run long during one of your pit cycles, then you know, okay, maybe I run not as long during this first one as the rubber's getting laid down, but after the rubber gets laid down, then we can run a little bit longer. So that's a really cool new feature. Opens up a lot of different abilities for the new lines and new strats. Also added to the game, AI DNFs. So we'll finally have malfunctions from the AIs, whether that be mechanical or cars that are wrecking into the wall and not able to finish the race. That was something that was big, that was asked for. The last thing that was mentioned during this first episode is loosened penalties on the road courses. I didn't really notice this too much in NASCAR 25, but the way they talked about it made it seem like it was a big deal to a good amount of people. But anyways, they said they're loosening the restrictions as far as corner cutting and track limits goes. Actually, you know, now that I mention it, that was an issue. I was thinking of it more in like a legitimate penalty where you had to run down pit road. But yes, there was actually pretty significant issues regarding the penalties when you corner cut at a road course, especially when you got pushed off the track by somebody online, and it would just stop your car and you would have to sit there for 5 seconds while everybody's passing you. So yes, that actually is a pretty big improvement there. So yeah, those are going to be the new additions so far, just from episode 1 of the Dev Diaries. I'm excited to see what the future episodes of Dev Diaries brings, because we got quite a bit there just on this first episode. But yeah, it's looking like NASCAR 26 has got definitely a lot more promise than NASCAR 25 did. And hopefully there's even more improvements that specifically are geared toward online and stuff like that will improve the gameplay on that side of things. But yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will probably get this video uploaded to YouTube and also upload some snippets here and there to social media just to start getting the ball rolling, get some more excitement generated throughout the community here at Jaybird Unbound now. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I didn't think I would actually be excited for NASCAR 26 after what 25 looked like, but it definitely looks a lot more promising. So excited for even more updates, excited for the gameplay trailer next week.